against Bristle
really
Tiny.
Yeah, that's true. You can't have too much break, I suppose.
Although Shadow Demon, like one of the heroes on which Silver Edge is actually really legit.
You mean Dragon Knight?
That's what I said, didn't I?
You said Shadow Demon, but it's
Nope.
okay. You're going with the right thing.
It's Dragon Knight.
We understood.
They're
Yeah,
both
this
red.
is actually this is a fantastic Silver Edge game.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I feel like
No
Signature
doubt.
Trust, seeing the Tiny, have already kind of dealt with him reasonably well. Shadow Demon can kind of count him around with Demonic Purge, and they've got the Razor for the Static Link as well, which is always going to be good.
Shiver seems to have an affinity for Wyverns.
I really
Okay.
like. I like it. Measles Shrek is a core in this game, and we talked about it actually on Winter Riven in the previous series because we were expecting maybe G-Guard to pick it up because they have done that in the future. Purge said he wasn't really impressed with the hero so far, but I actually really like it, especially in combination with Dragon Knight, a very tanky hero. Heal him up, or at least prevent him from some damage, and he can just go again.
I just want to see Winter Wyvern force Tiny or Bristleback to beat Wisp to death.
Oh, dual lanes mid.
That's
Dragon
what I
Knight,
want to
Winter
see.
Riven.
It's like, get him.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, it's Winter Curse on IO when you relocate in is actually really good. The
Yeah.
Tiny just
Tiny just clubs
smacks
him.
down.
Yeah, actually, I didn't really think about that little bout of synergy there. But that's pretty
And there's
nice.
also the idea of like Bristle, but they're pure physical damage, right? So you can save a lot of people with your curse.
Yeah, they have quite
Or
a bit
your
of
Winter's
magical
Embrace.
burst.
The lion deals with it.
Yeah, Avatox combo as well.
That's
Can be
true.
pretty scary.
That's true.
The general Tiny build at the moment is like either Brown Boots Blink Rush or Treads into Blink, so there is that, and it's not so amazing at counter initiating early stages, but I think it's still overall here.
Yeah.
Nyx Assassin, last pick. What are we thinking for the hero? Because I personally really like it. We've talked about it a lot. We haven't seen it as much as we've talked about it during the previous qualifiers, though. And I mean, it can be very situational, but I think that normally it has a pretty big
The
impact.
mana burn, I think, is incredible. Pretty much, no matter what.
Against who this game, though?
Yeah, I was just going to get to that next point.
The Lesh is the core, but
Yeah, I guess it's really
It is
annoying
good
for
against
Razor,
Lesh,
because if
yeah.
he's going to buy a mech, he already can't. He
Yeah.
can barely sustain mech as it is
Yeah.
at the moment.
I would argue it's just good in general. It's a very strong mana burn. It scales very well. It's just a good tool to have on your team. I
And
would
you
say,
can stun, you can stun Razor with it as well.
yeah. I would say
With Pillars of Skin, whatever it's called.
the
Oh, right.
Spiked
yeah,
Carapace.
Carapace. I
Yeah,
haven't
you-
slept a lot. So.
you can pop Carapace and then nuke him, and then you'll get the...
the stun off.
yeah. But I would say Nyx is a bit
Yeah.
underrated. I mean, he rarely gets picked up, and he's not a poor hero by any means. Very, very good against certain heroes like Medusa.
Yeah. And he's amazing with Tiny Wisp as well, for the same reason that Lion is, that you've got one hero that can be off ganking by themselves, they find someone, they lock them down, the Tiny Wisp relocates in and finds that kill, and they've been farming the whole time as well.
Okay, so Signature Trust taking on Rave here for a third series on the sign stream for the TI5 qualifiers. Southeast Asia, Zayorian Base Kip, take it away.
Woo! Hot dog. Let's do it, Base Kip.
All right. Casts, do you want to be up there? I don't know if I don't know if that's exactly where he was planning to end up, but okay.
Shiver just made some hand gestures to let us know that Tiny might be tossing some people around up
Yeah.
towards the
Okay.
cliff.
Okay.
But
That's
this
pretty
is,
cool.
Yeah, that's a cool strat, actually. Cass will get that one bounty rune, very important, so he can grab the bottle ASAP. Dragon Knight gets the top, so one apiece, pretty even on that front. Thoughts about the drafts overall, though, Base Kip? I do think Rave has a slightly stronger draft in general, a little easier to execute.
Yeah. I feel like Rave's approach is just that they can't, from their perspective, they can't deal with the Bristleback and the Tiny. You can only static link one of them. You probably only have enough lockdown for one. And now we got Winter Wyvern coming in and being a nuisance here on the mid lane. What is that?
That's the jackhammer
Oh my
outside.
god.
They're doing some construction around the building.
We've got roadworks going on outside. I hope you guys can't hear that, but
Yeah, it's. I thought we were having an earthquake there for a second.
I was a little bit worried.
I was about to get under the desk and just take cover. So.
Okay, we're good. We're good.
Yeah. Apologies again if you're hearing that, folks. But it's interesting to see the safe lane Nyx Assassin here. So they are not
Okay,
doing
good.
and. They also can't hear production.
We also can't hear production. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so safe lane Nyx Assassin. Rave's lane setup is, I mean, not too unexpected, right? Tiny Wisp mid,
Yeah.
pretty decent. Abba taking some damage here on the mid lane, but he's going to be alright. He's tanky. He's Dragon Knight.
Is that the appropriate pronunciation of that name, by the way? I always say AABBAA, and that's a mouthful.
I just call that's what I've called him forever.
Okay.
unfortunately.
Oh, here we go. Combo onto Abba in the mid lane. Dragon Knight rather tanky. Are they going to dive to commit for it? They will, and it's a first blood. Chrissy on the Tiny draws it and gets that bonus gold.
Yeah, and one of those situations where the new toss change I think comes in pretty big. Before, you probably would have talked about, okay, toss is RNG, and if you hadn't got the Dragon Knight as the toss target, I don't think they get that kill, but now you can actually manipulate it and make sure that you get the Avatos on the person that you want. So that's actually just good play from the Tiny. Chrissy getting in the right position to find that kill, and a really nice start here on the middle lane for Rave. And I guess I want to go back to talk about the overall drafts a little bit. Again, I still feel like the Rave approach is just either the Tiny the Tiny or the Bristleback is going to go crazy this game with the help of the Wisp. But I think that's fair. Signature Trust are going to have to do their best to try and focus down the Wisp in every single engagement. Jao tanks a ton of damage, has your classic, I have a haster and so I'm invulnerable syndrome, but he's going to pay for that and have to head back. But maybe get one more stack on the Ancients before he does. Yeah, not too bad. And Bristle, we talked a lot in our first set about Beastmaster and the struggles he has about clearing Ancients. Bristleback, easy. Not so much. Easy peasy. He just turns the back, and those Ancients will be dying. So that is one of the great things about the offlane Bristleback, is he does have that recovery mechanism, assuming you can defend your Ancients. And that is becoming also a trend on this patch of just invading jungles and stealing stacks because they're just so valuable. Yeah, speaking of stacks, nothing set up just yet from Cast over in the Dire Jungle. He did cut down the trees to enable double stacks a little bit later, but for now he's still just chilling out on the mid lane, so playing a little bit more pressure on the Dragon Knight and a little bit less focus on farming. As much as this dual lane mid is scary for the DK, he's still getting quite a bit of farm though. As I said that, he's going to get tossed back here and looks like he's going to cop some more damage. Yeah, he'll stay alive this time. 10-3 compared to the 17-2 Tiny. Not too bad. It's the other lanes that are rather impressive. Nyx Assassin and Bristleback both struggling to get CS in their lanes in the single digits, and you see that Lesh and Razor really feeling quite good right now. So even though the first blood was drawn by Rave, the farm disparity is, I think, in favor of Sig Trust by a decent bit here in the initial laning stage. Yeah, definitely looks like it. The Razor kind of coming up big, I think, in terms of you're picking this hero because, well, initially when we used to see this hero picked, and back when he was very popular, it was because he's a lane dominator, he gives you that advantage. And this game he's also really well positioned because of the two big melee cores over on Rave, so really shaping up to be a great pick, and also a very comfortable hero for Lekels. This is not an uncommon sight to see him on this hero. Yeah, when I hear Lekels, I always think Morphling, but Razor is definitely I think it's his Morph, his Anti-Mage, his Clinks, and sort of his more New Age hero might be the Razor here. Oh, going into the tower, the double Earth Spike here from the Lion as well as the Nyx Assassin, just harassing the Razor as much as they can, but of course no kill shed quite yet. Alright, everyone pretty happy for now. Jao only level 3 in the offlane now. We talked about it at the end of the last series, but the offlane Bristle does feel a little bit underwhelming here, where he can still be that frontliner, but isn't going to be able to sort of take over the game as he would if he was the partner with the Wisp, or if they did an aggro try and gave him safe lane farm or something like that. But feels like Rave needs to prioritize farm on a secondary core. I don't know that it matters who it is, but both Nyx Assassin and Bristle are struggling so much to get just a baseline of creep score. Yeah, I feel like they're in a pretty dangerous position right now because there's a lot of weight on the Tiny Wisp to get things done, and Jao getting jumped again bottom. Oh! Get the kill on the Shadow Demon. That's huge for the Bristle. I think that is actually a really favorable trade for the Bristleback there. You never want to die, but he gets a solo kill before going down. Yeah, I don't know if he managed to do any shopping. Let's have a quick look at the recap. Yeah, didn't lose too much gold, so yeah, looks like did all right for himself there, but it's not too bad. Yeah, at least he's getting something. Yeah, I mean, we've seen that. ROTK is one that comes to mind. Ice Sights as well. Not afraid to die in the offlane if it means you get some extra experience, get some extra gold. Finding a death or two if it means you get a timely level 6 can oftentimes be worth it if you're on a key hero that can do that. So, yeah, it does depend on your sort of your level benefit, whether you're a farm-dependent hero or whether you're a level-dependent hero. I guess it's more of the case on like a Clockwork or someone with a key ultimate at 6. Where you just want to get 6 and then go do stuff. Yeah, Bristleback, not quite the same. But yeah, could have been worse for him, I guess, is the point I'm getting at here. So I do wonder a little bit for Rave if their Tiny here is going to be just going straight for the blink and try and move around and bring the game back that way, or if he's just going to go straight into farm. Because he has the Quelling Blade. To me, that's a sign that he may just want to go for a timely Aghanims. Oh, down bottom, Nyx Assassin. He'll get dropped. Looks like Lesh will get credit for that one. Yeah, this Shadow Demon Lech is working out really nicely thus far. Dive on mid.
Winter Wyvern will be able to live for now.
Yeah. Needed to get in range for that avalanche. Needed the combo to go off, but rotation down bottom lane as well from the Dragon Knight. They're going to be able to pick up this tier 1 tower, so even more early farm flowing into the pockets of Signature Trust, and well, the pressure continues to mount on this Tiny to start bringing the game back somewhat. So going back to that thought about the Blink Dagger, I feel like on the one hand, there's the perspective that, okay, they're behind and the Tiny needs the biggest impact item they can have right now to start turning the game, and I think the Blink Dagger is definitely that. But on the other hand, they've got the Lion and the Nyx Assassin, who should be the initiators later on if the game is more even. So we'll have to see which way Chrissy favors, but I do feel like he's going to end up going for the Blink, even if it's only because that's been the overwhelming trend recently.
When you say trend, is that within the context of SEA or just in general?
I think just in general. I'm thinking more on the lines of like Eternal Envy's Tiny and whatnot, who's even started turning it into a naked brown boot straight into Blink Dagger rush in recent memory.
Yeah, it's all about the timing. The sooner you can get it, of course, you hit this window where you can just combo people down. We'll see a little skirmish about the top rune here. Disruption comes out onto the Wisp cast. They time it perfectly. Split Earth sets him in place, and Dragon Knight will finish him off with a Breathe Fire. They also secure the rune for themselves and push Chrissy back. So, yeah, the thing with the Blink Dagger is you have to find kills with it. Or else it just becomes this sunk cost that could have been progression towards your Aghanim Scepter, which is where you, of course, are just passively farming. So.
But I'm just not sure if the Aghanim Scepter starts to turn the game.
That's true.
Is the one thing. Like, yeah, you can get a little of the split pushing done, but I don't know. I guess the Nyx Assassin has his 6 now, so hopefully that plus a relocate, which shouldn't be too far away for the Wisp, hopefully. Yeah, he's level 5.5.
Yeah, he's
so the Vendetta in combination with the relocate should hopefully be a kill, but the biggest issue that they're going to run into is that their lineup is not ready to team fight at all right now, and there's a huge incentive for Myth Trust to just 5-man, because if you're 5-manning, you can put down sentries, you can cover yourself, you make it almost impossible for the Nyx Assassin to do anything, and Tiny Wisp is very weak against 5-manning as well, because especially in the early stages of the game, you don't want to go relocating into 5 heroes. It gets a little bit better when you're split pushing later on and you can put pressure on the map and split them up that way, but this early 5-man draft from Sig Trust is definitely scary for Rave right now.
Yeah, I definitely like the way Signature Trust are handling this game, being very active with the Dragon Knight. We're only 9 minutes in. We've seen 2 ultimates used already. He's pushed the bottom as well as the mid-tier ones, and there doesn't seem to be much sign of them stopping. You look at that net worth chart, and there's a lot of green floating towards the top. Rave is actually falling behind at a pretty rapid pace here.
Yeah, so we still haven't even seen the full power of the Sig Trust 5-man. There's a mech that's about to be completed very soon on Lakel's, and yeah, early game is just going fantastically for them.
Yeah, Lakel's has been fairly quiet so far, but yeah, that's definitely going to change here in the very near future. Dragon Knight, he's got to have something on the way out. Curious if he will just rush the Silver Edge. We've seen the really harmonious build of going into the Glimmer Cape, breaking it apart, and then just moving into the Lothars from there. See a little wrap around here, though, from Jap. See if they can set something up onto Chrissy. The Dragon Knight is on the way over, but
so no 6 on the Winter Wyvern here. Is holding a skill point notably at the moment, but is going to just put that in the Arctic Burn.
Okay,
it would seem.
We'll do some decent damage here, and
it
is the Blink Dagger.
It is the Blink Dagger.
Yeah, good call. Now that I've seen this transpose or transpire for the last 5 or 6 minutes, I think you're absolutely right that they need a high impact item now to deal with the push and find some pickoffs. The Aghanims just feels a little bit too passive and reduces what Rave can do to deal with this real aggression they're up against.
Yeah, but it is still going to have to. They have to hope that they can find value out of this Blink. This is sort of the big opportunity.
So who's really susceptible to the combo right now? Shadow Demon is probably the easiest.
Winter Wyvern definitely.
Winter Wyvern as well. I guess Lech is still in that window where the combo will hurt, but quickly getting to the point where he won't be comboable. Oh, disruption set up. Nice little synergy there as you can keep stealing damage, and Bristleback just melts under all that magical damage.
Sig Trust have so many of their comfort heroes this game, it's actually ridiculous. Like, thinking back to when I used to cast SEA Dota even years ago, this SD Lesh combination for this specific team definitely stands out. And Abba on his Dragonite, if you ask me what Abba's signature hero is, or what signature hero plus build, it's his Blink Dagger Dragonite. And I'm really interested to see if the introduction of Silver Edge is going to shift his priorities at all towards going towards that instead of the Blink Dagger, but I feel like he is the one player that I remember going for that build long before it was
you're right.
mainstream.
Now that you say that, you're right. I remember the first time I saw that and went, oh wow, that actually kind of works pretty well. Now you have an initiator with a decently ranged stun, very tanky. It's a bit unique, but can really work nicely. And Sig Trust not letting up at all. Tier 2 tower in the top lane falls, and not much that Rave can do about it.
Yeah. I think the other thing you can see from Sig Trust is that you can see the comfort on the heroes a little bit in coordination between the Shadow Demon and the Lesh. Every single Split Earth has been 100% on the money, and we've seen teams that have been picking combos similar to this a little bit recently. Shadow Demon hasn't been seeing a lot of play, so I feel like people are less practiced playing around the disruption, but MyPro has gotten every single Split Earth within a fraction of a second of the disruption ending. So they're doing really well between the two of them.
Yeah, definitely. It's not the easiest combo to get perfectly, but if you're well practiced, it is quite scary for sure. Lakel's should have the mech completed by now, I think, no problem there. And now the 5-man can really begin for Sig Trust. Yeah, he's already beginning the BKB, I would imagine.
Yeah, the Rave game plan of, okay, they can't deal with both the Tiny and the Bristleback has kind of gone completely out the window, because the Bristleback isn't a threat, so now all they'd really need to deal with is the Tiny. I think if we get towards the mid game, if we start dragging on a little bit, if the split push can start to open up the map, that's where things get more interesting. But this is Rave's first tier 1 of the game here, I believe.
At least
they need
Chrissy
this space.
gets it. He desperately needs this farm and can start moving towards the Aghanims now. Still haven't seen too much out of that Blink Dagger pickup, as Sig Trust just continues to stay aggressive. Yeah, I mean, there's not much he can do. Maybe you can get a pick off on the back line, but even a smoke rotation as they move into the mid, and 15 minutes in, or 14 minutes rather, there's going to be one outer tower remaining for Rave. I don't think they're going to even mount a defense for this tier 2 in the mid.
Yeah, they can still, I still think that they can fall back on the late game a little bit, but things are definitely not looking good right now. And Sig Trust also have a very good high ground siege lineup. I mean, we talk about the Cold Embrace as a counter initiating tool, but it's also great for pushing and keeping a single creep alive, and making sure that you've got the backdoor protection disabled. Dragonite, of course, fantastic at sieging towers, and Razor as well, especially once he picks up the Aghanim Scepter.
And then plus you've got Diabolic Edict, and on top of that, Lesh is just great for pushing because of how quickly he can clear waves. You drop a lightning, a couple of pulses from the Nova, and you've basically cleared it all out, and then you can use Edict to actually hit the structures. So Signature Trust holding on to about a 3k net worth lead, experience fairly even, about what you would expect with a 5-man strategy like this. That is the trade-off to knock down those towers, is team experience. But so far, this execution from the Radiant side seems fairly spot on. We didn't get to see that first series where they got 2-0'd, but from what we've seen here, they seem to be pretty on point. They're executing this strategy about as well as they could be.
Yeah, they're really cruising at the moment.
But the Aghanims is about halfway done for Tiny. He has the point booster and the Ogre Club now. So he is still finding decent farm, holding his seat as #1 on the net worth chart. This is great for Signature Trust, but they're not out of... they're not totally in the clear yet. They still have a little ways to go in terms of breaching that high ground. Getting the outer towers is one milestone, but breaching the high ground is a different challenge altogether.
Yeah, it does seem like Rave are just kind of gearing up for holding on at tier 3s and just trying to open up the map as much as they can before that happens, so that they have more room to split push and more room to look for relocate ganks. And I think the biggest example you can look towards in terms of taking that approach is the fact that Ryor, he's had his core levels to go ganking for a little while, but instead he's just been showing on lanes, and he's just been farming towards his Blink Dagger for now. Jump in from Tiny. Well, is it the Shadow Demon?
There's a combo. That's something we're looking for here. Chrissy takes the splitter stun. Jo stun under the tower as well. Dragon Knight doing huge damage. Both these cores getting dangerously low. Jo will try to TP home. He'll be successful there. And now Chrissy will get turned into an ice cube and brought down. Leshrak gets credit for that. A 1-for-1. Shadow Demon for Tiny. A good trade there for Signature Trust.
So Cass tried to relocate him out, but...
Yeah, the Bristleback just TP'd home. He did manage to survive.
Okay, so they get the Shadow Demon, but they lose too, so not the best fight in the end, and Sigtrust's going to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, they also defended their tower as well, which is worth noting. What does the Nyx Assassin have in the way of items? Does he have the Blink Dagger yet?
No, he's got about 2k gold.
Really
at the
close
moment.
though.
Yeah,
that's
he's quite
good.
close.
They're going in on to the Dragon Knight here. Doesn't get the Vendetta damage. Instead, just has to open with the stun. Jo stacking up the... That's not Dragon Knight. That's Winter Wyvern.
Winter Wyvern.
Yeah, there's the Cold Embrace, though. Buys him a little bit of time. There's too many dragons in this game here, Base Kip. I can't handle this.
Are Wyverns dragons?
No, I actually looked this up. Apparently, they're sort of like messed up, sort of stupider cousins of dragons. They're not quite as good, but...
So they're like hick dragons, is that
Yeah, kind of. There are some subtle differences. They're dragon-esque, even though they're technically a bit different. It depends how hipster you want to get with the lore.
All right.
But for the sake of argument, I think you can call them a dragon and get away with it.
Okay, so what else is... So they've... Okay, they didn't get that kill mid, but Ryo's at least got his Blink Dagger now, so... that gives him a little bit more initiation power in terms of defending the high ground, and it gives him someone else to go in and back up the Tiny when he's diving for the back lines and looking for these pickoffs, but... I mean, Sig is still just picking up items left, right, and center. We've got Lakel's with the BKB, I think, almost complete. BKB for the Dragon Knight is already finished. Lesh has his Bloodstone done. So all three cores are still just looking fantastic and still doing a really good job of holding onto their Tier 1 towers. Chrissy looks like he's going to almost bring down this Tier 1 top. And again, the map control is so important for this Tiny Wisp strategy, but Sig Trust are making them fight for every little bit that they're getting.
Deny on the top Tier 1. Victory there.
Yeah, they know that the I think they were hoping to get a little bit more drawn to the top lane so that they could use this ganking squad over in the Radiant jungle to pincer on mid and force some kind of 5v3 or something like that with the relocate. So smart move from Rave, but Sig don't end up committing.
Here we go, wrap around onto Rave, farming in the Radiant jungle. Ninja Boogie, I think, certain to fall here unless he can TP out. Never mind, there's a disruption to interrupt it. Lakel's will get a huge amount of damage, and a couple of those lightning whips will finish off the Demon Witch. Ryo, nowhere to go, tries to juke into the tree line, but they find him, and Dragon Knight, the one true dragon, gives him the breathe fire, and that'll be the end of him. 2-0 as Signature Trust clear out their own jungle.
Yeah, and that move just slightly ends up backfiring on Rave there. I think they had to try for it. You know, you could see the overall plan. Okay, Chrissy pushes top. We see a TP. We blink out. He's ready to relocate mid. We've got two people moving in from the side. We know that we need to try and find some kills to hang on to this game a little bit because we can't beat them in a 5-on-5. But sort of backfires in their face there, and Signature Trust just going to keep on marching forward here.
Absolutely. This is the last outer tower for Team Rave. And looks like it will fall without much competition now. Aghanim Scepter comes out on Tiny just as the spite's about to break out. Do Rave want to try to catch a few stragglers on the retreat? They certainly do. Chrissy hops forward, brings down the Shadow Demon. He gets the Cold Embrace, but not enough to keep him alive from that Toss Avalanche combo. Now the rest of the fight will break out as Abba takes a stun, but starting to steal some damage here. Jo doing what damage he can, but the quills just aren't enough. On the front line, it's MyPro going in deep. Ninja Boogie getting low. Chaotic fight, but it looks like it'll be a break even. Radiant side lose 2 there. Winter Wyvern falls on the back end.
Just support deaths.
Yeah. On both sides.
Yeah, Rave can't fight the cores at the moment, unfortunately, so...
Yeah, both teams had the cores going for the supports, so...
Yeah, I think it works out decently well for Rave, the team that's behind, so just picking up those kills is alright. Interesting place to try and take a fight since they weren't really fighting over any objective. The Tier 2 is already dead. And the Tier 1 bot is already gone, but I feel like they're just getting a little bit antsy looking for an opportunity here.
Well, I mean, they spent the first 20 minutes of this game just playing very passively, avoiding fights, and just trying to farm. Get the core kit on Tiny. He finally gets his Aghanims, and I can see why the completion of that would be a signal to try and find some kind of an engage. So a break-even 2 for 2 is more than they've gotten out of most of these other fights, so... like you mentioned, when you're behind, a break even is definitely in your favor.
But they have no outer towers remaining here, so I would like to see Signature Trust picking up a gem at some point, potentially, to just remove any control over the map and to help feel safer a little bit against the Nyx Assassin. Then probably set up for Roshan, try and take that, and then they can start looking towards the high ground. And for Rave, they have to use the space that they've created top lane and bottom to try and split push as much as they can, but they have to try and do so safely. They have managed to get up one ward over in the Radiant jungle at the moment, in a slightly obscure spot, a little bit off to the side. Not going to get caught by your most common sentry locations, and that should be a decent split pushing ward moving forward for them.
Yeah, most definitely. That's an interesting cosmetic for Tiny's branch. Okay. For a second, I was not positive he had the Aghanims there. But he does have a Mask of Madness, an interesting change in the item trajectory here. It can be a very powerful item on Tiny, especially for split pushing. Once you have the Aghanims, you can chew through towers and other structures very quickly. But as always, the Mask of Madness is a bit of a double-edged sword, as it can cost you your life. So I feel like it's more often like a 5th, 6th slot item when you really need to have that extra bout of pushing power. Any thoughts about picking it up this early, right after the Ags?
I think Rave feel that they have to be ready to take sort of the next 1 or 2 fights that are offered, because if they give away too much more, I think the Signature Trust high ground siege might be a little bit too powerful. I mean, yes, the high ground is an advantage, and Rave do have a tiny bit of harassment that they can... I was going to say tiny bit of harassment that they can throw, but it's toss and it's a bad pun. But what else have they got? They can, Bristleback can turn his back and throw out some quills, but in general, I think if we get to the point where Sig Trust are hitting tier 3s, then they're in trouble, and Chrissy's just trying to get whatever items are most effective for the gold that he has available right now. I don't know if they can look 15-20 minutes into the future, because
this game might not go on that long. That's a great point. Just get anything you can now to give yourself an edge. We see that when teams are on the brink of their throne exploding. Just buy bracers, whatever you can to spend that gold and give you that little bump. Looks like Rave will roll the dice on Roshan, and this time it works out. Aegis of the Immortal ends up in the hands of Tiny, while Sig Trust try and poke at that high ground there in the mid lane. So at least Tiny has a second life now, and that'll bump his net worth up to #1 by a pretty good margin.
Yeah, he's looking good as another 2k gold, so can start working in towards a... I guess he still just needs a BKB this game, honestly, but it's not a feel-good item for Tiny. You never really want to get forced into buying BKB. You'd much rather start working towards AC or Butterfly or Crit or, you name it, it's definitely the preference, but I think this game, just against stuff like Dragon Tail and Split Earth and getting disrupted, it's probably too much of a nuisance. The one big problem that Rave are running into here is that their Wisp normally gets going in the game because you're getting pickoffs and you're getting ganks and things are at least going your way, but Cast is just dirt poor at the moment, and he's going to die in every single team fight. I don't know how they can keep him alive, and that makes the survivability of the Tiny and the Bristleback a little bit questionable.
Yeah, I really like the way Signature Trust has itemized in terms of picking up casual cloaks on most of their heroes. I think they have 3 out of the 5 with cloaks right now, and just a way to stop the Tiny from getting those singleton pickoffs and get a lot of momentum with the Blink Dagger, and he's only found a couple of them. I think it's the right approach, though, at this stage of the game, is anything you can to stop that Tiny from getting any more momentum.
Yeah. Worth noting that Jo has found quite a bit of farm in recent times, and he's actually close to most of the Signature Trust cores on overall net worth, so he's got some items going his way right now. Has a Sanj picked up. I'm guessing we're probably just going to see S&Y out of him. The BKB durations are still just so long on the Dragon Knight and the Razor that I don't think you're getting very much value out of Heaven's Halberd.
No, I would agree with that for sure. This game goes on long enough, perhaps, but now is certainly not the time. So Sig Trust have slowed down a little bit here. Perhaps they're thinking wait out the Aegis, then go for a high ground siege. I think it is appropriate to play a bit cautiously here, though. They're not in the clear in terms of having this game in the bag and respecting that if they get wiped up, this Tiny will really have a lot of momentum to his name. He already has another 3,500 gold, and I would imagine the Assault Karash should be pretty high on the priority list for one Mountain Giant there.
Yeah, it's interesting because this is the kind of game where you look and you say, okay, maybe the Bristleback will be the one to look towards AC, and Tiny can itemize something else, but I don't know if they're going to have that kind of opportunity. Ninja Boogie gets jumped.
Oh my. Almost gets away, but Lakelz will finish him off. Abba loses some mana thanks to the Nyx Assassin. Only 2 minutes left on the Aegis, so Signature Trust may be able to wait this out after all. Also BKB on Lesh, another core tool that comes in handy when you're trying to break the high ground.
Yeah, so they've now got... Are all of their BKBs still duration? I think they... Still full duration? I think they might be. Raze just still 10 seconds. Dragon Knight's 9 seconds. And Lesh is 10 seconds. That's terrifying for Rave. And it also just means that Signature Trust can be extremely proactive with their BKB usage here. You know, they can pop it quite early on in the fight if they're even the slightest bit afraid of getting jumped by Tiny or getting jumped by the Blink Nyx Assassin. And yeah, like you said, fantastic for breaking their way up onto the high ground.
Yeah. Tiny will force two TPs to the top lane. Does not finish off the tower, and they won't even deny it yet. Just leave it standing so they have that extra access point if need be. Nyx Assassin stocking up on mobility items here. Blink Dagger as well as the Force Staff in his inventory. So level 11. I can't help but feel like this Nyx Assassin has been very quiet this game. To be fair, he hasn't had a lot of opportunities for solo pickoffs as Signature Trust have spent the bulk of this game grouped up in either a 5-man unit or smaller groups, but
yeah.
The Nyx, I feel, needs to be a little more aggressive and kind of intimidating. You want the supports to be wary of venturing off into dark territory, and he's just spent a lot of this game farming and often in sight of Signature Trust, so he's not so much of a threat.
Yeah. Oh, I think we talked about it somewhat as we went towards the mid-game, that it looked like Rave had just made the decision that, okay, we lost the early game.
Yeah.
Sig Trust are 5-manning. We don't feel like we're going to be able to find that many opportunities. Like I pointed out, they went for those 1 or 2 plays with the split push into a potential relocate gank, but I feel like Signature Trust didn't really fall for it, and Rave really seemed to have just set their mind on high ground is where we're going to make our stand, and I think that's kind of the perspective that Ryo has taken. I agree that there would have definitely been an opportunity for someone else on the Nyx Assassin to play a little bit more aggressively, different scenario, maybe different team with a different vision, but I feel like Rave are at least cohesively all still on the same game plan.
That's true. That's definitely true. Tiny will get his BKB up. The Aegis did expire though, and time will tell if that's what Signature Trust was waiting on. They are grouped up as 5 in the enemy jungle right now, looking for some sort of a pick-off to try and make this happen. Maybe Jayo will be the prime candidate. He's just farming the mid lane. He'll use the BKB straight away as Abba comes in. They've got a way to interrupt it. That's the ultimate there. And Ryo comes in. Stun on 2. Relocate from the Wisp. Say goodnight to your Shadow Demon as Tiny drops the combo. BKB on. That's the 10-second debut. He'll lose his Wisp partner, but gets the kill on Lakelz. Jayo low. Will fall to Abba. Now he'll stun Chrissy. A lot of dead heroes in this fight, but it's not over yet. Lesh with a split earth before he falls. 4 down on the side of Signature Trust. It's just the Dragon Knight left alive, and this is the fight that Rave have been waiting for. Abba will not live to tell the tale of this one. He'll lose all of his mana, and now Tiny just giving him the Whomping Willow. Their gem hits the deck, and it's a 5-man wipe in favor of Rave. They lose only their Wisp and Bristle back, and all of a sudden they break this game wide open and take some momentum.
They got a great initiation there to back up the Bristle. I get the feeling that Signature Trust got a little bit complacent. They thought, oh, okay, we caught the Bristle back out. He looked like he was panicking. He went for the BKB TP. There might not be too many people nearby. And then Nyx Assassin comes out of nowhere. The Wisp relocates in, and I feel like that really caught Sig Trust by surprise, especially with their positioning. They split up a little bit, and that let Rave really take full advantage in that fight.
Wow, Tiny had spent all of his money on BKB right before that fight, now has another 3,000 gold after clearing out Signature Trust. And this is where things get scary with these kind of 5-man deathball type strats, as we talked about. Outer towers are one thing. They executed well in the first 15 minutes, but now trying to tango with this Tiny will be very difficult. Yeah, just look at that gold graph. That tells the story pretty clearly.
Yeah, and it definitely looked like Sig were kind of on the game plan of, okay, we're gonna right here, right now, this is where we're going to go end the game. This isn't going to last too much longer. The Dragon Knight wasn't even necessarily farming towards another item. He was the one to spend gold on the gem that they picked up. Ninja Boogie just barely going to get the TP out here. It's close. But yeah, it looked like Sig Trust kind of had their mindset on ending that game ending this game within the next 10 minutes, but that game plan has gone a little bit off the rails with losing that Roshan and losing that fight, and now Chrissy's opened up even more room to work with the tier 2 down on top lane, and he's just laying into it right now.
That's great damage on a tier 3 tower. Not only does he force back 3 TPs from Signature Trust, but they don't punish it at all. He walks away with full HP, and he gets half damage on a tower. That's great. And he finished off the tier 2, gets the last hit. Chrissy making a lot of space for his team with those kind of plays. And with the Blink Dagger, he's actually able to go off by himself like that, and that opens up some space for Cass to just partner around with Jo and help him get some farm priority.
Yeah, this is really bad for Sig Trust actually, since they lost their gem in that last fight as well. I think it's just, it was just chilling on the Rave Courier for a little bit, but I believe it's now over in Ryo's hands right now, and or maybe it's getting passed back around. It looks like it's probably making its way back, but that means no gem for almost 3 minutes for Sig Trust, and they're losing a little bit of map control as a result. They are going to go for a smoke here, and let's see what they find. Wisp is waiting in the trees, ready to relocate out if anything untoward happens to Tiny.
I think this is the right idea, though. Signature Trust are not quite in Hail Mary mode yet, but they need to stay aggressive. They need to do some... smoke on smoke. Hold that thought as the fight breaks out. Chrissy in the front lines pops the BKB. He'll get frozen up. Lakel's with his BKB on. Chrissy at about half health, but he stays alive through most of it. Now Sig Trust will start feeling the damage of the cleave. Tiny, the first death in this fight. Maybe it is Signature Trust that can take it after all. Cass gets put inside of the disruption. Big stun from Ninja Boogie off to the side. It was enough to turn the fight around for his team. Shadow Demon, Razor, and Lesh now all stuck in the grave. It's the Radiant on the back foot. Abba will try to TP home. He'll be successful. Looks like Tiny did buy back for this fight. 1 for 3 with the buyback. Jap in a very awkward position. Yeah, there it is. Very minor gold gain for Signature Trust, but it is Rave that takes the fight.
Yeah, and Roshan's actually going to be up pretty soon. Jo, are you going to check it one last time? No, okay.
It's a little bittersweet there.
Chrissy's stuck in trees.
Oh, a little armadillo. Did he see it?
Okay, they're onto it.
Both sides know. Jap scouts it out with the Glimmer Cape. Nicely done there, but can they actually contest this is the bigger question, I think. Oh, Jap's going to get caught out by Ninja Boogie. He'll sap the rest of his mana. They dust him as well. No TP, no mana for the Glimmer Cape. But this is pulling 2 of the heroes from the Dire side away from the Roche pit, which could give the rest of Signature Trust a little bit of an advantage here. Roche very low, goes down to the Dire. Tiny snatches up the Aegis. MyPro goes in, BKB on. BKB's popped a plenty on the backside. Jap may go down. Cold Embrace going to buy him a little bit more time. Chrissy will lose his BKB. They get the kill on the Winter River. Now on the other side of the fight, it's just Tiny on the run. Maybe they'll turn it around as Ryo drops the stun onto the Dragon Knight. Lion to follow up. Now the disruption. Split Earth off the mark. They force the BKB from the Dragon Knight. Is now Lesh. Turns on the Pulse Nova. Chrissy going down fast. The rocks turn into rubble as the Aegis of the Immortal is procced. He'll be coming right back to life, though. Here we go. Toss forward on the Dragon Knight. The cleaves coming out like crazy. Leshrac, he's the first to fall in the secondary part of the skirmish as its Signature Trust just slowly but surely moving towards the back foot. Lakel's trying to do what damage he can, and now he's on the run. Finger of Death brings him low. Tiny blinks forward, will give him the Whomping Willow for the kill. Abba doing what damage he can to Jo, but he's tethered up. Wisp, he'll only give as much as he can. Jo's still alive. He'll live through it, and Signature Trust with only 2 left. Looks like they could survive as Rave not so healthy, low on mana, but I take that back. Rave goes right back in. Say goodnight to the Shadow Demon as Abba, the only one left alive, will be brought down. Jo taunting him on low HP, but Rave will do it. Jap, no, he comes back in. He finishes off the Nyx Assassin, ends the dominating streak, and now this fight will finally end. Oh my, base Kip. There was some chaos on the field there, but suffice it to say, Rave coming out on top.
Yeah, these Roshans that they've managed to grab have really turned the game. The first one that they got, I feel like it was somewhat of a failure on Signature Trust's part in terms of controlling the Roshan. They were in complete control of the map. At that stage, they had a gem, they had decent warding, but Rave somehow managed to sneak in there and grab it, and Well, this second one, I think they kind of knew that they were risking it with the fight on bottom, but yeah, team fights have been going very well for Rave, and now the Bristleback has eclipsed everybody on Signature Trust in terms of overall farm as we swing from about a 4K lead Signature Trust way down to about a 7.5K lead for Rave. So that is a huge turn this game. That's almost an AC completed for the Tiny. I think he just needs the smallest component to go, and that's going to be flying out to him on the courier right this second. So big turn, and Signature Trust just seemingly can't bring down either of these cores. They are very control-oriented in their supports. Winter Wyvern not bringing a whole lot of damage to the table necessarily, and Shadow Demon kind of the same story. But yeah, it just seems like the Dragon Knight and the Razor haven't actually been able to sit and right-click anyone down. I feel like the one thing is also that the last couple of fights, they haven't managed to bring down the Wisp at all, and that little bit of extra survivability is turning into a lot on these massive HP pools that the Tiny and the Bristleback are starting to build up, and they really need to find cast if they can. I mean, their one big initiation is just the Blink Dagger Dragon Knight, and he typically has to lead on someone else because you're not going to find the Wisp, but I do think they need to put a little bit more priority on trying to kill the Wisp there, because as we saw, Jo was getting right-clicked down, and he just got totally saved by the overcharge and the heals.
Yeah, the Wisp making the plays happen there. MyPro pushing back the creep wave in the top lane, while the rest of his team pushing down bottom. This Lash, oh boy, if only Chrissy had vision here, I think that'd be a dead goat. But not going to find him this go-around. Both sides looking for some warding action on the plateau, but Rave, hanging on to the gem that they stole from Signature Trust, will win the warding battle on that one.
Yeah. Nyx Assassin almost has an Aghanim Scepter here, actually.
Really?
Yeah, looks like it.
All that farm starting to pay off. Are we going to see some upgraded BOT action?
That's maybe a little ways off, but it does definitely seem like Rave have stabilized, and I feel like we need to go from talking about what Rave needed to do to get back into this game, because they've done it, and now it becomes a question of what exactly do the Signature Trust
I mean, they just don't have the carry advantage here at this point in the game. We're 40 minutes in. The Death Ball did some damage, but nothing that was crippling. I think this is the time to take some risks. I think Roche number 3, they absolutely need to contest. If the Dire side pick it up, I'm not sure how Sig Trust can win a fight. So this, to me, seems like the window where they can make some stuff happen. But you see that Aghanim's up on the Nyx Assassin, so Burrow becoming a reality, hiding in the tree line here. Will interrupt their smoke, blinks back. Oh, beautiful positioning from the Nyx Assassin. Great read from Rave that Sig Trust may try a rotation like that, and, well, that interrupts their smoke play.
And, well, it looks like Sig Trust still pretty keen to get something done. They actually popped the Dragon Form, which is a pretty big cooldown to be investing, but Rave go jumping in, a little bit of harassment. Yeah. That gets a BKB out of Lakel's.
Oh, and Jo.
All right.
Both sides with some awkward decision making there.
That was a bit weird.
So they both disengage. Okay, I think Jo's is down to 5 seconds anyway, so not a big. Oh no, it wasn't. That was a 7-second BKB. Oh my. Okay, well, a little wasteful, but not the end of the world.
So I get the feeling that Rave actually just wanted to go for that, and then they realized, oh, hey, we got a BKB, we can back off. And then some people committed to the fight. There was...
Yeah, it was an awkward angle to initiate. Yeah. They broke the smoke, and then I guess not sure how Sig Trust would try to commit that way.
So awkward for everyone involved, but Rave lanes are in a pretty good position, so they're going to go smoking outside of the base, and Sig are starting to split up now, feeling they need to get more farm.
Whoa.
Nice BKB reaction from Abba there.
And same for MyPro.
But that's both forced out. And they saw the Razor BKB earlier.
So that's
only the BKB out of the Bristleback used.
2 BKBs on cooldown. Even though it mitigates them getting called out, that is still very costly. And now Rave can feel very good about trying to press towards the high ground, at least for the next 30 seconds or so. They've got a great window. They go straight for the weak one that Chrissy already softened up a few moments before. Jap goes in, tries to set it up on Cass, but there's just not enough range. They all spread out. The Delta split is there, and the ulti not going to do a hell of a lot. Tier 3 tower goes down. The Glyph has already come out. Chrissy in the front lines. Remember, he doesn't have an Aegis of the Immortal, but he does have a BKB. He pops it. He starts swinging that branch as fast as he can. Shadow Demon takes the finger and will fall. Lakel steals a lot of Chrissy's damage. He's not hitting so hard, but now they push them out of the base. Ninja Boogie caught by the Dragon Tail. He'll go down. A 1-for-1. Support for support as Sig Trust do hold their base. Jo will TP home, and Ryo will be able to Vendetta back to safety. They do get the Tier 3 tower and force out the Glyph, so still not too shabby for Rave, conceding only Lion as a casualty.
And Sig just going to get their lanes out as far as they can, but Cast already applying a tiny bit of pressure top lane. I mean, he's just a Wisp. He's doing the best that he can.
He's baiting.
And meanwhile, Roshan still can't be up for quite a while. Ryo is right on Jap's tail, but just gonna... Looks like he's gonna be okay.
I think so. Razor picks up the Shiva's Guard. Okay. Good item here. Always good to have against a Tiny. Not bad against Bristleback either.
Yeah, Juggernaut's looking towards an AC. We've got Lesh buying a pretty interesting combination of items. He's picked up a Ghost Scepter right now, Ultimate Orb as well, so it looks like he might be working towards a Hex. Still going to take him a little bit to farm that one up, but definitely going to be helpful as the BKB duration starts to wear down somewhat. Tiny's already down to 6 seconds, in fact, and Bristleback already down at 5, so that's going to be a nice pickup there, and also potentially for helping to even just lock down this Wisp. I feel like Cast is continuing to be very elusive in these fights. But you can also see the Winter Wyvern. I guess that's the other thing. Before we were talking about it being only the Dragon Knight. Jump in, Boom Bell.
Oh, oi, 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 indeed.
Radiant's bottom tower
It's pretty easy pick with a Shadow Demon.
Yeah, and there's no vision anywhere for the Radiant at the moment, so they didn't see that coming.
Yeah, they are completely blind. Handing that gem over has just crippled their ability to get back into this game. When you don't have vision against a Tiny Wisp, things get very difficult. And as we talked about, Roche 3, if it goes the way of the Dire, I feel like this is the straw that'll break the camel's back for Signature Trust.
Yeah.
They have been able to do decent damage to the Tiny in these fights. You've noticed that Lakel has been prioritizing Tiny with the static link, as he well should, and it has been a pretty effective form of control across all the other damage they have. But now, killing him twice, actually they give the Aegis to the Bristleback. So, oh yeah, Tiny having some slot issues here as he picks up Moon Shards. Or Moon Shards.
Yeah. So he's got his Moonshot and another 4.3k, so we could even see him consuming the Moonshard and picking up another item.
Daedalus
at
probably.
Some stage. Yeah, I don't think he needs to build lifesteal because Wisp has a Vlad's already, so yeah, could just look towards a Daedalus.
Did he sell the Mask of Madness?
I
guess
believe
so. Yeah,
so.
he dumped it.
He doesn't have it anymore.
Yep.
I guess other item to consider is a Butterfly, potentially. It's a pretty good tiny item, gives you a lot of attack speed. Evasion, of course, not too shabby. It just depends on whether or not he's worried about the right-click from the Radiant side.
Yeah, the evasion, not the biggest deal this game. And I feel like oftentimes we get too hung up on the evasion aspect of it. The amount of damage it gives you is incredible. So either or, Daedalus or Butterfly, I think some sort of a damage-based item will be where that last slot goes. Yeah, Moon Shard's not picked up so often, not a huge surprise there, as it is a big ticket item that you really don't see until the game gets to about this point. But just how fast he can clobber through the structures here. Range barracks go down in just a matter of seconds. Jo stunned up. Remember, he is the one with the Aegis of the Immortal, so he will come back to life if taken out here. He gets his Heart of Tarrasque completed. Oh my, that's another big item pickup, and with a Wisp Tether, he will be pretty healthy. Radiant, are they lacking the Glyph here? They are. It's still on cooldown for another 30 seconds. A difficult defense to make. Split Earth comes through, does some decent damage to the Tiny, but it's just not enough. Lakel's stealing what damage he can. Jo putting out a lot of quills. Lakel's now just getting whomped down by the Tiny. They don't have the damage to shut him down, and Lakel's on the run. May still live. Jo wants to chase him into oblivion. A few more quills, and he is dead. Now things difficult for Sig Trust as there is no buyback on the Razor or the Winter Wyvern. Bristle, low on HP, but I think at this point might be okay with dying. He regenerates just so damn fast.
They completely forgot about the fact that he was inside of their base. He managed to run into the trees and get a couple of seconds of regen off of his heart before running back through the enemy team the other way. Sigtrush just lost total track of the Bristleback thing.
Yeah, Glyph comes back up, gets used right away. MyPro gets fingered and brought down in a matter of seconds, and I think we're in GG territory here as Rave finally starts to clear out the base of Signature Trust. Buyback will come from the Lesh. Looks like they won't end the game off this push, but 2 lanes of barracks down, pretty crippling damage. Tiny with a huge amount of gold sitting in the bank, about to break the 10k mark. They'll get the tier 3 tower in the bottom lane. Jo in the front lines. BKB Armbloods continue to zone out Signature Trust. Stun from the Nyx Assassin sets up the kill on the Shadow Demon as Mega Creeps will become a reality here. MyPro just taking too much damage from the mana burn. This is where the Nyx Assassin can really shine. BKB is getting popped on both sides of it. This should be the final fight of the match. Chrissy in the front lines doing big damage. The final buybacks coming out, but Megas are here, base Kip, and I can't imagine that Sig Trust can do too much to turn this one around.
No, so especially not if Rave all get out on sub 20% health, which it looks like they are going to. And yeah,
GG.
There's the GG called. I mean, Rave, I think they read the game situation pretty well, saw that the early game and the lanes had not gone well at all, but stuck to their guns, set a course, and won the game that way. I mean, we didn't need ganks from the Nyx Assassin. The tiny Blink Dagger that we were talking about didn't even end up doing that much. It was like 2 pickoffs on the Shadow Demon total, but they opened up the map, they split